Hello students, this is Kishore Bhanushali again. In the first video on open economy macroeconomics, we have studied the basic concept, and the concept we have covered was international flow of goods. We call it export and import. What are the factors that are influencing the international flow of goods? We have also covered the topic on international flow of money, that is FDI and FII, and briefly discussed the factors which are influencing the flow of money. And this entire presentation is based on a textbook, Principles of Macroeconomics by Mankiv. Just have look at the concept which you already have covered. We had introduction part, then we had covered the flow of goods, we have covered trade surplus, trade deficit and trade balance, factor influencing international trade, flow of finance, that is inflow, outflow and net capital outflow, factor influencing the capital outflow. Now we are discussing one of the most important identity that we talk in terms of economics, and that is equality of net export and net capital outflow. So we know net export is difference between export and import, and net capital outflow is the difference between inflow of capital into the country and outside the country. And in economics we always talk in terms of this is an identity. This net export and net capital outflow are supposed to be equal. How come it is there? Because there is an identity. For example, if your net exports are positive, it means your country has exported goods and services more than the import of goods and services. In that case, your net capital outflow is going to be positive, in the sense that suppose take an example, your country has exported goods and services worth rupees $100 billion, and imports are worth rupees $90 billion. Now, what does it mean? It means your country will get $10 billion of extra money. How that money comes in? Comes in by way of foreign exchange. So when you own, your country owns a foreign exchange, it means you are owning an assets in other country. Similarly, when your net exports are negative, it means your imports are more than your exports. Say your imports are for $100 billion and your exports are only $80 billion. What does it mean? Country has to pay $20 billion to rest of the world, and when you pay it, indirectly it means foreigners are owning an asset in your countries. So this is an equality which always works. Similar equality is also talked in terms of saving, investment and its relationship between international trade. We already have discussed in the class what are the factors that affect savings and investment, and while discussing we have covered important topic that interest rate is one of the major determinants of savings and investment, and this savings and investment has important relationship with international flow of both money as well as goods. When you say savings and investment, they are important for the growth of any countries. In a closed economy model, which we already have discussed, and now we understand that in a closed economic model, when there are limited scope for export and import, financial flows are limited, your savings are equal to investment. So saving investment identity is already mentioned there, but if it is open economy, it means people of your country have a chance, or they are getting an opportunity to spend money on imported products. In that case, this identity or equality between savings and investment in the local market will not work. In this situation, it is very important to understand how savings investment are related to international flow of goods and capital. Because when you say open economy, people have an opportunity of buying goods and services from foreign market along with whatever spending they are making in the local market. Similarly, companies, the investors of your country got to have a chance, an opportunity to take money from abroad. So when companies are borrowing money from foreign market, it results into inflow of money. When people are buying goods from the foreign market, it means a flow of money. Sorry, a flow of goods. So this are the relationship between these two. If you recall the Keynesian equation that we have covered in the class, which is again given in the slide, y is equal to c plus I plus g plus x minus m, where y is your national income, c is consumption, I stands for investment, g stands for government expenditure, x stands for export, and m stands for import. So x minus m is your net export. So c is demand by the consumer in the local market, I is investment by the companies, G is government expenditure, and X minus M is demand for your product in the foreign market. Now if we rearrange this equation as given in the slide, Y minus C minus G, so income minus consumption minus government expenditure is equal to I plus NX. Okay, where say Y is your income, C is your consumption by the local people, and G is spending by the government. So Y minus C minus G becomes your savings in the local market. These are supposed to be equal to investment if it is a closed economy. But in open economy, these savings are equal to investment. This investment is investment by the local company in the domestic market plus NX, which is net export. Okay. So here in this case, your savings are not equal to investment. Your savings are equal to investment plus NX. It means goods and services which are not consumed locally are exported. And as we have already covered in the presentation, NX is always equal to net capital outflow. So your net exports are equal to net capital outflow. Why? Because your net export will decide the flow of money. So if you are exporting, so that is flow of goods. Parallelly, you have money coming in, that is flow of capital. If you are importing, you have to pay for it. So import of goods and services are inflow of goods, and then you have to make the payment, that is outflow. So net exports are equal to net capital outflow. In that ways, your savings are equal to investment plus net capital outflow. So whatever savings that you have in a particular country are either invested locally or results into net capital outflow. Now what are the factors that decide this? One of the major factors, as we have already covered in the class, is interest rate. Okay, if interest rate is the one of the factors that decides the saving. If interest rate is on a higher side, people tend to save more. If interest rate is on lower side, people are tend to consume more. On the other side, interest rate also decides the investment. Higher the investment, interest rate, lower the investment, lower the interest rate, higher the investment. At the same time, when you say net capital outflow, now net capital outflow depends on interest rate across the world. If interest rate in the foreign markets are on higher side, there's going to be a net capital outflow. So interest rate is one of the factors that affect net capital outflow also. Now then talks of the small topic that we have, price for international transactions. Now the question is how prices are decided in international transactions. Being the local market, you know that you have price to be decided in terms of your local currency. So in India, for every product, we have MRP, and MRP is denoted in terms of rupees per unit of goods and services. Now this MRP will not work in the global market. So how do you decide the price for international transactions? Now while working on the price for international transactions, one of the important factors that you need to take in care of is what is the exchange rate. We'll have a topic on discussion on real versus nominal exchange rate, but here let's understand what is an exchange rate. Exchange rate is a rate at which one can trade currency of one country for the currency of another countries. So you are exchanging Indian currency rupees with the American currency, say dollar, and if $1 is equal to say 70 rupees, today we are talking about 73. Okay, so price of $1 in Indian currency is rupees 70. So this is a nominal exchange rate. Now this nominal exchange rates are presented primarily in a two way. One, price of foreign currency in terms of domestic currency. So when I say $1 is equal to rupees 70, what does it mean? It's the price of dollar in terms of Indian currencies. And there are instances where you talk in terms of price of your currency in terms of foreign currency. So if I talk about $1 is equal to rupees 70, and if I want to convert the same equation in terms of price of Indian rupee in terms of foreign currency, then I say 1 rupee is equal to $0.01429. So this is a value of Indian rupee in terms of foreign currencies. This is how foreign exchange rate is normally presented. And this foreign exchange rate is not stable. As we have already discussed in the class, India is following a managed floating exchange rate, where exchange rate is not decided by RBI. Exchange rate is decided by the market, and RBI has certain influence. So if exchange rate moves beyond a certain number, upper or lower side, then RBI comes up and intervenes the market. Otherwise, in a day-to-day market, RBI allows exchange rate to be decided by the market, and exchange rate either appreciate or depreciate. Now, what do you say? What is appreciation in exchange rate? Suppose $1 is equal to rupees 70. What does it mean? It means by paying $1, American can buy goods and services worth rupees 70. So price of dollar is rupees 70. Now if $1 becomes rupees 80, what does it mean? With the same dollar, American can buy rupees 80 now. It means value of dollar has improved. Value of dollar has increased. What does it mean? What happened to value of Indian rupee? Value of Indian rupee has declined, because earlier we were supposed to pay 70 rupees for a dollar. Now we have to pay 80 rupees for a dollar. This is depreciation in exchange rate. On the other side, if $1 becomes rupees 80, so rupees 60, what does it mean? Americans can buy 60 rupees by paying $1. And in order to buy $1, earlier we were paying 70 rupees, now we are paying 60 rupees. So it means value of Indian rupee has appreciated.